Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Spiritual Catalyst podcast, where we talk about all things weird and woo. I'm your host, Sarah Lyons, founder of newerschool.com.au, and today we have a special guest, Jenna Wahl, with us to talk about generational healing for high achieving women to discover lasting love after abuse. I can't wait to dive into this today. Jenna's a mother wound mentor who leverages her unique abilities in neuro understanding and body channeling to help high achieving women unravel generational trauma and discover lasting love after abuse. Jenna, welcome.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful intro.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited we finally have you on the podcast. I can't wait to talk about this topic. How about we start with, for those listeners that may not have done any mother wound healing yet, how would you describe that?
Ah, yes, I love that. Well, first off, a little bit about what the mother wound is, right?
Awesome. Yes.
And I'll sum it up real fast. It's just the wounds, pains, traumas that our mother may have experienced within her own lifetime, from her mother, and her mother experienced it from her mother, and so
Yes.
on. And that's where we get that generational trauma. And it's really interesting that we can experience it within like womb
Yeah.
and birth story, along with childhood, and then moving forward. So that is the mother wound in a nutshell.
Yep.
And if somebody has not experienced it, or believes that they have a mother wound, because that's the biggest objection I always hear. Well, I have a great relationship with my mom. And that's amazing, because this isn't about mother blaming. It's about mother healing. So I always like to say, yes, our mother is so loving and supportive, but many times our basic needs, food, shelter, water, and a little bit of entertainment, were given, but not our emotional needs. So that's where I really bring it and tie it all in. And that's like the beginning piece.
Yes, I love this so much because I think as women, we don't want to shame our mothers in any way, even if they don't know we're speaking about it. And I can think about my own mother with this, right? I know that I've perpetuated wounds passed down from the mother line for sure. And I know that my mum gave me life, and I'm so grateful for that. But when I think back, she wasn't very maternal. And I didn't feel that sort of maternal love that I craved growing up, but I wouldn't want to make her feel bad about that either. So it's good that we can do this for ourselves.
Yes. And I love that you brought that up too, because the trauma was not our fault. And that's the biggest piece too. But our healing is our responsibility.
Yes.
So I love that you shared that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're seeing a rise in the healing industry. It's my favorite topic to talk about because it really is taking radical responsibility for our own lives, isn't it? Beautiful. And I'd love to know, especially for our entrepreneurs that are listening in, what does it mean when we're talking about generational healing for these high achieving women to discover lasting love after abuse? Because I can see this bleeding into their business and, all areas of our lives.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love this topic. Because absolutely our relationships do bleed into our businesses, because our business is a relationship. So all of those entrepreneurs out there, when we experience the mother wound, many times there's a subconscious belief that we can't outdo our mother.
Yes.
Or subconsciously, we don't want to overexceed whatever she's doing so that she takes the credit. Oh, look at what my daughter's done. Now, going into relationships, though, many times, and when I work with women, they always say, oh, I believe it's coming from my father. But as we start looking into it, a lot of the times they turn into their mother. They notice that their mother took care of their father's every single need, became a people pleaser, put all of her dreams aside, and then really hitting that, ooh, I am not allowing anyone to support me. They become very hyper hyper independent. And so that
Yes.
leads into the business of I can't have anyone else support me. The business won't support me. I don't feel safe within my business.
I totally feel this. Even as a successful woman myself within my business, I still struggle passing on, outsourcing and things like that. And I can see where that comes from. My mum was she was lovingly had that real martyr vibe where she had to put herself last and all the things.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can see how this also could create maybe some codependent cycles in coach client relationships too.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
This is something that I still, even though I know these things, right? We don't realize that we get into these types of relationships. I will say real quick that around 2012, I was doing some deep, probably like the deepest work that I did at that point.
Yeah.
Obviously I've done even deeper now, but it was like the first time I was actually experiencing deep work, and I called in the perfect toxic relationship that, now looking back, mirrored every single insecurity that I had growing up with my mom, and just my parents in general, not feeling lovable, not feeling good enough, not feeling or feeling like I had to compete for love and affection since I'm a middle child. So those dynamics do also play a part. And sure enough, I call in that specific relationship where I had to compete for his love and affection. He was constantly outside of our relationship with other women. He had children. He had a mother that he was taking care of. And then to tie it back into clients, there are times when I notice that I go into I have to save them. Very similar to what I felt back in that relationship that I just discussed. So all of a sudden, a couple of weeks in, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, I'm doing it again.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and soothe around whatever it is. And that's the beauty about healing. It's being able to heal that same wound, but from different angles, and not looking at it as judgmental. Many times I'd be like, I thought I healed this. Why is this coming back up? Or why am I in the same situation, just a different meat suit?
Yep.
And then it's now, oh, this is the same situation, but this is a different angle. Oh, this is interesting. So it's kind of picking up like a seashell on the beach and just viewing it and then putting it back down.
Yes. Oh, wow. I love this so much. And there's so much coming to my mind. And I'm sure the listeners are just like having all of these experiences and memories come to surface, which is really beautiful. I think it's a really big one too. The savior complex, and really trying to detach or hold boundaries and not get enmeshed with our clients, because it's not holding them as powerful. But I know still for me today, I still have the same situations that come up to mirror, okay, is this really for you or is this for your client? And personally, I feel like it can do my head in sometimes, because I'm like, yeah, but I want them to succeed so badly.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what's your process when working with high achieving women who have all sorts of patterns? Because we know that this can present in so many different ways. What would your process be to unravel this or heal this, or whatever your process is?
Yes, great question. So what I typically start with is I created a quiz and I reverse engineered it with the concept of fight, flight, fawn, freeze. So what trauma response are they typically in? And this allows me to get a good understanding on what mother wound type they kind of have. So is it a people pleaser? Are they a hopeless romantic? Are they a runaway? Are they somebody who wants to be an outcast? And that allows me to kind of get the baseline.
Yes.
From there, obviously, as I have done 18 years of massage therapy and energy work and a bunch of other stuff.
Wow.
I am really good at channeling what the body is trying to share. And
Mm-hmm.
as studies have shown, when somebody is experiencing a long pattern of abuse, and this doesn't have to be a traumatic event, it can be a traumatic event, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times, the things that we experience pile up. We don't have the tools to release them like we did back in the day. And so it gets stuck in our body.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where I typically start,
Yeah.
is having them start noticing what are their triggers. We uncover those unmet needs that are being at play or triggered by those specific situations, and then how it shows up in the body. Because a
Mm.
lot of the times it's easier. Well, and I will say they're high achievers, right? They're smart cookies out there.
Yes.
Logically know what is typically causing them problems. And so, like
Yep.
myself, I could go to a therapist, which I have gone multiple times, and I would just tell them all the things that were wrong with me. And then our
Mm-hmm.
time was up. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, great. I already know that, but I have nothing else to show for it. How do I get out of this pattern?
Yep.
And that's where I take it, where it needs to be released from the body.
Yes.
So we do a body scanning meditation. There's postural analysis, and from there we kind of piece together what has happened in their past and present, what they're thinking, and kind of work all three angles of mind, body, and energy body.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And it sounds so comprehensive. And I love that you work with the body in that way. If there's something I've noticed in working with women over the years, it is that once we release those, sticky energies in the body that have been there sometimes lifetimes, it can open up pathways to, well, whether it's the love of your life or more wealth, it's just has the most beautiful ripple effect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, I love
and
this.
you said sticky situations, which immediately makes me think how the muscles stick. Right? So like there's fascia that lines all of the muscles, and that's a sticky little monster in there, and then it will hold like saran wrap. So I love that you shared that, because that definitely plays a part. And then there's also the energy body and the mind.
Yeah.
So the energy body is
absolutely.
going to include all of maybe the chakras or support and stability, especially within the hips. And that could close somebody off if they've experienced pain and then they don't want to be intimate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'd love to put your quiz link in the episode details for the ladies who are listening in. I'd love to take it myself. I felt like all four of those things. I'm like, oh, I wonder which one I'm going to be. Before we get to, your links, because I'm sure everyone would love to check you out, what sort of things do the high achieving women you work with, what sort of results do they get, or what results could someone expect from doing this sort of work?
Absolutely. One of the biggest ones, actually, this is from myself, and then I'll go into clients.
Yeah.
But I released my hip pain after I delivered my son in 8 days.
Wow.
And was able to experience intimacy without pain. That's something that one is not shared about having children. Many women do, after having children, experience leaky bladders.
Yeah.
So they may experience leaks either while sneezing or coughing or laughing.
Yeah.
And then also pain during intimacy, because that was a very traumatic thing that happened.
Yeah.
And then they don't realize why it's now happening.
Yes.
So that was mine.
Yeah.
Some things that my clients have had, we've released shoulder pain that was there for years. I've also had people scheduled for surgeries like carpal tunnel surgery, also something within the neck, and they've been able to cancel those since working with me. And then obviously more connection to themselves, deeper connections with their partners, their children, deeper connection with their mothers, which
Beautiful.
is always a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then also just more confidence, self-assurance, really understanding the tools, like when they get into a trauma response, they're able to release it or notice it in real time
Yeah.
instead of the few hours later or maybe moments later when you start playing it in your head over and
Hmm.
over. I should have said that. I
Hmm.
could have said that. I would have said that.
Yes.
And then it haunts you into the next week.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I totally relate to that. And I am sure, with that increased self-assurance and confidence, I can only imagine what a woman could do within her business rising, which is just
Oh,
lights me
yes.
up. That is gorgeous. So, listeners, we're going to post the quiz link for you in the episode details. And also, Jenna, where's the best place for us to find you?
My best place is TikTok, and that can be at IAMJENNAWAHL. So I am Jenna Wahl. But my next biggest venture is really holding a lot of this information on my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
So long
We'll
form.
definitely pop that link on there too. How exciting. I've been through Jenna's TikTok and it's a space where you could just scroll all day with all the different, information. It's so cool. So,
I hear a lot of people do that. So
oh,
that makes
cool.
sense.
That's a good thing. That's such a good thing. Definitely changing lives through this beautiful work of yours. Thank you so much for being on here with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was glorious.
You are so, so welcome. And beautiful listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review and we will talk to you next time. Bye.